Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Can't hear? I cannot hear. Oh. I'm dumb. I hope you guys are doing well. My name's Connor. If you're new, the original link to the video from Mark Felton Productions, top of the description, preemptive like. Last surviving heavy bomber from World War II. Cool. First video of the day. Start before I mess up the intro.
Following on from my video on surviving iconic World War II era single-engine fighters, we take a brief look at the surviving World War II heavy bombers. And I emphasize the expression heavy bombers, not all World War II bombers, only those defined as being heavy bombers. Here we find ourselves in extremely rare territory indeed. In this list of 8 heavy bomber types still surviving in 2023, 2 of them Axis nations. Unlike my fighter video, this is a survey of every single World War II heavy bomber type that existed. Many different types of aircraft, of which only 8 types still exist.
I'm curious to see what makes a heavy bomber considered a heavy bomber. I don't, maybe it's a simpler answer than I think.
So a quick look at what you won't see in this video. These Allied and Axis heavy bombers have no surviving examples today, only wreckage or parts. There are, for example, no short Stirlings, no Heinkel HE-177s, no Kant Z-1007 Alciones, no consolidated B-32 Dominators, no Dornier DO-217s, no Farman F-220s, no Mitsubishi Ki-21 Sallies or Ki-67 Peggies, no Nakajima Ki-49 Helens, and no Peteljakov PE-8s. There are no surviving Piaggio P-108s, nor any Vickers Warwicks, or lastly, no Armstrong Whitworth Whitleys. That's a lot of no's, but you'll be pleased to discover that 8 World War II heavy bomber types do exist today. Once again, I list total number of each aircraft type and how many can still fly. Beginning with the most numerous, at position number 8 we have the American Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. 12,731 were built between 1936 and 1945, with the last leaving Brazilian Air Force service in 1967. Today, 45 B-17s still exist, with 4 still flying.
The numbers of not just aircraft, but and deaths, obviously, but just all vehicles and vehicles of war that were created in the Second World War is just, the numbers is insane, and I feel like nothing since World War II compares to it. 12,000 planes constructed of just those heavy bombers, and imagine having economies that are just, everyone is working towards one goal. I mean, it's a good thing that we haven't experienced that since, but numbers are crazy.
At number 7 is another US classic, the Boeing B-29 Superfortress. 3,970 were built between 1943 and 1946. And today,
sorry, how much?
They were built between 29 Superfortress. 3,970 were built between 1943 and 1946. And today, 22 still exist, with 2 examples still airworthy. At number 6 is a British icon, the Avro Lancaster. Britain and Canada built 7,377 Lancasters, with the last leaving service in 1964 in Canada. Today, 17 remain in existence, with 2 of them airworthy. And 2 more in a taxiable condition, with one of those in the UK hoping to be returned to flight sometime in the next couple of years. At number 5 is another American classic, the consolidated B-24 Liberator. A staggering 18,188 of these bombers were produced between 1940 and 1945, serving in both the U.S. Army Air Force and U.S. Navy, as well as the Royal Air Force and Royal Canadian Air Force. The type was finally retired by the Indian Air Force in 1968.
What are these, So this is how it turns, just like a rudder on a boat. You push you see the flaps on these two things, like 1, 2, and then the hinges. So like you put them to the right, and then the air is going to push on, like you put it away from the camera. It's going to push on it, and then like push the back of it this way, and so you'll turn.
Finally retired by the Indian Air Force in 1968. In 2023, there are 13 Liberators surviving, with 2 still airworthy. Number 4 is the first of the Axis heavy bombers still in existence on our list, the Heinkel HE-111. The Germans built 6,508 between 1935 and 1944, and a license-built version served with the Spanish Air Force until 1958, though I am not counting surviving Kaiser II 111 bombers in this list, only actual German-built Heinkel 111s.
Guys,
Air Force until...
Are these, because I normally think of air intake, like ramjet for jet propulsion aircraft. But I'm assuming it's the same purpose, but for the propeller engine. Is that what these openings are for? Just to give more oxygen to the engine?
Or 1958, though I am not counting surviving...
For some reason I thought for a propeller plane you maybe wouldn't need those.
With the Spanish Air Force until 1958, though I am not counting surviving Kaiser II 111 bombers in this list, only actual German-built Heinkel 111s. Today, just 5 111s still exist, with none airworthy. The heavy bomber at position number 3 is the less well-known British successor to the Lancaster, the Avro Lincoln. It first flew in 1944 and became operational in the last month of the war in August 1945. 604 were built, and they served in RAF service until 1963, with Argentina being the last operator of the type in 1967. Today, only 4 Lincolns still exist, with none flying. At number 2 is another British stalwart, the Handley Page Halifax. 6,176 were built, the type equipping the RAF, the Royal Canadian Air Force, the Royal Australian Air Force, and the Free French Air Force. The last Halifax was retired by the Pakistani Air Force in 1961. In 2023, only 3 Halifaxes still exist, none in flying condition. And at number 1, the rarest surviving World War II-era heavy bomber is Italian, the Savoia Marchetti SM-82 Marsupiali. A heavy bomber and transport aircraft 727 were built between 1939 and 1944 and were used primarily by the wartime Italian Air Force.
It looks like a passenger plane. So is this just for troop? No, wait, these are all bombers. So why all the windows?
727 were built between 1939 and 1944 and were used primarily by the wartime Italian Air Force, the German Luftwaffe, and later the Italian Social Republic Air Force of the post-1943 fascist rump state, and later by the post-war Italian Air Force. The last were retired after 1960. Just one SM-82 still exists today, a static exhibit at the Italian Air Force Museum. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support
Great
both
video.
of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.
Something about propeller planes are just a little cooler to me than jet planes. The same goes for sail-driven ships rather than propeller or steam engine-driven ships. I just think something about it, more so in terms of the boats. I think that sail ships are just so much cooler, sailing battleships, but less of a gap between, you know, how I'm fascinated with jet and propeller propulsion. But yeah, really cool video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Would appreciate you guys answering any of my questions or commenting. You guys are always really great at answering any questions I have. Any comments at all. Hopefully I'll see you guys next video. Bye, guys.